if we speak to one person, they'll say you need to learn to be comfortable with yourself. And if you speak to another person, they'll be like, humans are meant to be social, hang out with people. I think loneliness isn't really a real tangible feeling that you're meant to feel. I think it's all like a perspective thing.
I found myself so open, just so exposed that there's nothing of me to hide. Who was I if I had nothing to keep to myself?
I was speaking with somebody that said it's natural for you to lose friends as you get older. So as you get older, losing friends is easier. And keeping friends is also easier because you have less to focus on.
If you really want something off your chest 8 times out of 10, you're going to share it to the wrong person.
I would put my hoodie up and I would try to like take all of my senses away. Is that like another part of isolating where you're isolating from your actual self?
Ooh, I like this. I like this. Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Brief Dive podcast, where we talk about deep topics for a brief amount of time. Joining me today, you guys already know who it is. He's looking a little different today, but you can introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? I'm Archie. Nice to see you all again.
Dude has been here plenty of times. You already know who he is. He's got the fresh cut. Bro's looking clean today. But yeah, today we're just going to be talking about loneliness and just the whole ordeal, the whole idea of loneliness. So I'll start it off. I've had a lot of lonely moments in life. So I'm comfortable to say that like I've experienced loneliness, and like I know what it's like to like crave deep, meaningful relationships and friendships and everything. So I'm just saying that I've experienced a lot of this before. That's all.
Yeah. This is kind of like, I'm feeling a little bit more vulnerable than usual, to be honest, talking about this subject. But I have to say, you know, I'm 24, bro. I'm old. And in those 24 years, like I've been lonely for a lot of them.
Yeah.
I think it's just, you know, a natural thing. Like, do you think it's like a common thing for people to get lonely?
Yes, for sure. For sure. Especially, I mean, 24 is not that old. So like, I mean,
I'm getting there.
But I think it's very common. People that are 40 still feel really lonely. So any age, especially 24, isn't that like 19 to 30 is like a weird age. But 19 to like 28 is such a weird age. So I saw a video where someone said like, it's such a weird age because half your friends have bedtimes, half your friends have kids, half your friends have full-time jobs, half your friends are in like completely different stages in life, half your friends are moving in with roommates. So everyone is like completely different. So that's why it's weird in like this stage, like 2019, 19, like 29.
Yeah, it's kind of a period of just, you got like a group of people, like you're a tribe, and you're just like, they're getting picked off one by one, like moving away, getting a wife, having kids. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, dude, like, you know how like people sometimes say they go to too many weddings? Like, I think that's what they're talking about.
Oh, wait, go more into that, because I've heard of people say that a lot.
Yeah, so people would be like, oh, I'm getting so many wedding invitations, like, and they're all like, you know, people that I'm close friends with now or have been close friends with. And yeah, they're like, hey, like I can't make it. I got a job, you know, I got a life. Like, you're my close friend, but how I don't know how to say you're not close enough for me to drop everything and go to your wedding. You know, that's like maybe a handful of people for most people.
Yeah.
And they'll get these letters and they'll be like, oh, like sometimes if you're a guy like me, like you'll get like an invitation and it'll be like, dang, man, like good for them, but where's my relationship, dude? Yeah, but yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I'll start off with the friend loneliness from, I don't know when, a good portion of my like early teen years, maybe till mid high school. I was extremely lonely, like isolated. Like I would just I don't know. Just I would crave just for someone to just talk with me and for someone to like just be there. Excuse me. And yeah, it was really dark and deep. Sometimes like when you've been in that lonely state for a while and you not only do you like appreciate the friends around you, but it can that like state of thinking can sometimes come in to your like present day life like easily.
Yeah.
And like well, because you're new and you're more improved, it's easier to like push past that, but it can come back and like have that old lonely mindset that you once had. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Was it by choice? Like, or was it, semi like unintentional? Like you were just isolating yourself and you didn't realize, or you're being isolated?
That's a good question. I think it was like later where I started realizing that I felt very different from a lot of other people. And then I moved, and then there was like a new high school, and then like
Yeah.
I guess it was a mix of both.
Yeah, that moving probably.
And then COVID.
That moving was probably like the most difficult part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I've had a similar experience. It was honestly when I went to VCU. Yeah, I didn't actually try to communicate with my friends as much. I was like, oh, I'm busy, I'm moving on, and I kind of like wanted to leave high school in the past, like which is very immature of me to think that way. Like I realize now like that caused me to feel lonely, so it was a dumb idea. But yeah, I've been in a similar situation.
That reminds me of when you're lonely, you want to continue being lonely because you feel like nobody wants to be with you. And like it's like a state where you reinforce it and like you're still in it and it wants to keep you down there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of it's like a weird addiction if you think of it, because everyone wants to be by themselves. Everyone wants to be alone, but no one wants to be lonely.
Yeah, and that's something that I wanted to bring up because I call that hibernation.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you go into your cave, you isolate, and it's weird because we get all this like conflicting advice. If it's like, oh, you need to learn to be comfortable with yourself, and if you speak to another person, they'll be like, humans are meant to be social,
Yes.
hang out with people, and when you're confused, you just kind of stay in stasis. So you don't actually make any progress when you're hibernating, especially like learning to be comfortable with yourself. You're just chilling there, waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I've heard black and white advice, and it got me really confused. Because when COVID rolls around, we're all just like, we're natural human. We're like human beings, and like we need connection. Like it's unnatural, and there's truth to that. And then other people were like, right now is the time for you to lock in, grind, change your job, everything.
Yeah.
So I've heard both advice, and it's like very confusing when someone tells me that. So I was talking to Jessica the other day and telling her that when you hang out with someone and like you go all social, burn your battery out, you're gonna want to be lonely, or you're gonna want to be alone, and then you're gonna like really enjoy being alone because you burn your battery. And then like once you go all in each, you're gonna want to do the other.
And that's like completely separate from just the feeling of loneliness.
Yeah.
Right? It's like when you're driving in your car and you're like burnt out a little bit, and you're like, you know what? I think I'm gonna chill at a park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do that?
Oh, dude, I don't usually have a lot of time for it, but and when you go somewhere, like there's chances that something happens. So sometimes like my peaceful time gets interrupted by like something going on around me. But yeah, I love doing that, man. Do you?
Yeah, I would just chill in my room or the gym, do something by myself that's like repetitive, or that's like I'm just doing something.
Yeah. So do you when you need to feel alone, like what are your like go-to things that you do? Because for me, I just do whatever I want, and like it's hard to pick up something and say I want to do it when I want to be alone. You know?
I do this.
Yeah.
The podcast, I would edit or work on something. I either do like schoolwork, listen to music. It's always music too. Walking. I love to take walks. I'm glad I mentioned that. I used to walk a lot, like when I felt like very lonely and just, I would picture my thoughts as like a balloon. And like if I'm inside, the whole place would just be filled with balloons. So if I was outside, it would just go to the sky. And then that's why everything outside just felt so freeing with like my lonely thoughts. And like I felt like with nature, something about nature just didn't make me feel alone. Because like there's just like, well, this is a fake plant, but if this is like a live tree, like feeling it, just being around it, I won't go around hugging trees, but just nature just feels so lively. So taking walks.
That's a really good metaphor of the balloon. Dude, that's a very, very perfect one. What made you think of that?
I have no idea. I just know that whenever I'm inside, I just feel so clustered. My brain just feels so foggy. And like when I walk into a room where I overthink all the time, quote unquote, my bedroom or my desk room, I just feel like it's just so suffocating. Even it feels suffocating physically. So when I'm outside, it just feels it's like a roof. All these balloons could just go to an infinite space.
Dude, that's such a great way of looking at it. Because it's true. I feel the same way. You know, like when you go outside and you spend some time with nature, there's something very like primally freeing. Like you feel a sense of freedom. Especially when it's a nice day outside, you know.
For sure.
But even when it's raining, dude, like if you just go outside, like it could be just the vitamin D that you're getting or something, but like I think there's something naturally in the human body that like biologically craves being outside.
Yeah. I agree. I totally agree. Like I would take like night walks before I go to sleep. And my neighborhood, something about it, like you're outside for 5 minutes, you're just going to start stinking. Like it's just disgusting, but it's fine. I would just go out, walk late at night. Luckily enough, like I'm a guy, so I can do that, walking out at night. So if you're a girl and you're feeling lonely, I guess I can't really be that much of an option because I know that.
Carry protection, bro.
Yeah.
Like, maybe something like that.
You're onto something. You're onto something.
Because I feel like it's not just important for dudes, but you know, you're right. That's a really good point.
But yeah, that's what I do when I'm feeling lonely. How about you?
When I'm feeling lonely, I try to think of like what at the root is making me feel lonely, because most of the time when I'm lonely, it's not a feeling of it's kind of me being like a little bit down. I don't know if depressed is the right word, but it's more like it's different from being burnt out. It's kind of like an emotional low. It's like I'm bored. I wish I was hanging out with my friends, talking. I'd be happier if I was hanging out with my friends, or just, you know, talking with somebody. And I think about it, and it's like the issue isn't that I'm not talking to my friends. The issue is that I'm bored. And I think I need to talk to my friends. It's kind of like when you're bored and you're like, I could do something. I do this a lot. I could do something productive. I could be reading a book right now, or cleaning something, and I'll just watch TV. Yeah. Like I watch TV because I'm bored. I feel like I need to be stimulated, and I choose to watch TV. I feel, and then when I'm lonely, I feel like I need to be stimulated by talking to people, and that's why I'm feeling that lack, right? I think loneliness isn't really a real tangible feeling that you're meant to feel. While we're social creatures and stuff, I think it's all like a perspective thing. So if we expect ourselves to be talking to people like 24/7, like not really spending time alone, if we think we need to be hanging out with people all the time, every day, we're gonna feel lonely a lot, because that's how we perceive things are supposed to be.
That was good.
Appreciate
That was really good. That reminded me with senior year or maybe the beginning of freshman or this summer. I don't know. Sometimes I fall into these seasons where I just throw myself out socially. Like almost every other day I got plans with friends or like I'm going out and like I'm rarely at home. And something about that, obviously, like I truly enjoy doing that and I'm okay. But there were some moments where like I did it just so I can just avoid myself and being by myself and avoid being lonely and escape that feeling. So there is a line where you can talk to someone because you're lonely, or you can talk to someone because you want to talk to someone. Does that
Yeah.
I think that's what you're saying, and that's a good point to bring up, because whenever I used to feel lonely, I'm just like, right now is such a good time to practice being lonely, practice being alone, just like improve, get better. I should be alone if I'm feeling lonely, and like this is the perfect time to improve.
Yeah.
And then now, just recently, I was like, if I'm feeling lonely, like if I want to talk to someone, if I want to talk to someone, then I can just go talk to them. Like if I'm in the mood to feel social and be social, I can talk to them. But if I'm feeling like lonely, then I'll ask myself why. Like why, what you were saying. Ask myself why, find the root cause of it. And if that root cause is just like, oh, I want to catch up with a friend. Oh, I want to just have a fun conversation right now. Compared to like, oh, nobody likes me, everyone in the world just like doesn't want to be with me, then those are just two different thoughts that lead to two different actions with how you deal with loneliness.
Yeah. So for me, I tend to fixate on a specific group of people, like my friends. Like if it was if it was like some random person or like coworker or something, I don't care. Like I know, like when I'm lonely, I don't want to talk to them, right? I want to talk to a specific group of close friends that I have. And it's kind of like sometimes, especially, I don't know, we'll get into this later, but if it's like a romantic feeling, like for a girl, I'll be like, that's my fixation. Sometimes it's like one of my best friends that I'm talking to, and it's like, oh man, like I wish we could have a really deep conversation because that's what I want. And they're busy, and it's like, oh, like now I feel lonely type of thing.
Yeah.
Does that happen for you also?
Go deeper on that question because I want to make sure I answer it correctly.
I guess you could say when I'm feeling lonely, the root cause of the loneliness is that I'm bored, right? And when I'm bored, I want to be stimulated by whatever, and sometimes I choose to want to be stimulated by conversation, right? And there will be like a certain person that I'll want to conversate with. If I have like a specific thing I want to talk about, that would be my go-to person for this subject, and I'll fixate. Like I'll be like, oh, like I don't do this anymore because I kind of rewired my brain to, instead of search for like immediate gratification or like immediate stimulation or whatever, to be like, sit down and be like, you're feeling bad, you're feeling lonely. Why are you feeling lonely? What is making you feel bored right now? What's preventing you from doing something productive? And those fixations on certain people they don't happen anymore. But does that happen for you?
I've been fixated on a couple people in my life, but it's almost like I treated it like a drug, with like the instant gratification thing.
Yeah.
Like right when I'm done talking, I'm like, that was great.
Yeah.
And before we talk, I'm just like, yo, I need to talk to this person. I need to feel this feeling that they give me right afterwards.
Yeah, checking your phone type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I have my to-go person. Like at nighttime, we do our nightly routine together, and then we just unwind on the phone together. And I think that's okay.
Yeah, of course. It's like companionship, bro. That's what humans want.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't know if I quite get the question though. Like, have I ever felt like I fixated on someone?
Yeah, that was pretty much the question. Like, cause it happens to me, and I'm glad it happens to you too. Cause I sometimes I think I'm the only one. It's like, you know, maybe it's not healthy to fixate on certain people, like to the extent that I do. And it's like, oh, like I should be alone. Like, it's kind of like the conflicting advice that comes into play, and it's like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So it's like there's some people that say, oh, you should be very close with your friends. Like having close friends is very natural, and you should want to be conversating with them, type of thing. You should be it's like the promoting extroversion type of people, and then there's the introvert promoters that are like, you should learn to be at peace with yourself. And then, you know, that dialogue is in my head the whole time.
It's just very self-conflicting. And now I know a little bit more. I was fixated on like a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine. We'd call like every single day at a specific time. And then like throughout the day, like if someone said a joke, I'm like, oh, this guy would think it's funny.
Yeah.
And like I would just keep thinking about them beside. We weren't even near each other. And I would just keep thinking about this person like right beside me. Not like an obsession sort of thinking, but just like they're always on my mind because I'm always like, they're just part of me. And I definitely do know what you're talking about.
It's like you are the 5 people you hang around the most.
I agree.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll mess up and like I'll just be not thinking, or I'll be low on sleep, and I'll call like one of my friends, like my best friend's name, and I'll be like, dang it, my bad. Like that happens to me. I think it's very common, and when that happens to me, sometimes I get surprised because it's like, oh, I didn't even know I felt that much companionship with that person. Like that's a wake up call to keep them around, type of vibe.
I like that you said that because for me, it was the opposite. I kind of let the other part of me win, where I said, I should call this person less because I'm feeling this way. Like I shouldn't be feeling this way. And the whole mindset, I think at the time, society and social media was telling me it's okay to be alone, and be alone, don't be with friends, and like don't be calling people. I don't know. Just being alone was just praised a long time ago. So that's when I just decided to just like lay low. I felt like that was a wrong feeling to feel at the end of the day, so I stopped. And they kind of got the message as well. Mm-hmm. And looking back at it, I'm not sure if it was the best decision, but yeah, you learn, you live, and you learn, so it's cool.
This is boundaries, right? Like you perceived a certain boundary that you didn't know about. You made the assumption that the boundary was there. And then by perceiving that boundary and acting upon it, you actually set that boundary in place, and they talk to you less. That happened to me when I went to VCU. I didn't talk to my best friend for like a long time, and like I called him out the random, and I was like, oh, like now that I talk to him, we're gonna talk all the time. And I didn't realize that by not talking to him for no contact for months, like he might have been like, oh, Archie doesn't want to talk to me. I didn't realize that. Yeah. I've matured. I think navigating like social relationships is like super difficult after high school, and you have to get like just older, you know? Like you have to have more experience. Like I was speaking with somebody that said it's natural for you to lose friends like as you get older. So as you get older, losing friends is easier, and keeping friends is also easier because you have less to focus on. So it's something that you can flip positively for sure.
That's so funny that you said that, because just last night I was thinking like, oh, everyone just keeps leaving, man. Like people just come and then they go. They come and they go. Like it sounds funny to say, oh, I'm ready to settle in. I'm ready to settle with a friend. But yeah, I totally understand the feeling of you're with this person for you're kicking it for like a year, and then they're gone and they move away, or they go to another school, or just life happens. And rolling back to what you said earlier with accidentally hurting your friend, or maybe not like hurting them, but making them feel some type of way. I've had people where I do this a lot. I used to do this a lot. No, I still kind of do it a lot. I would sometimes just cut them off in my head, or like I would just put boundaries in my head, and something in me saying like, whoa, bro. Excuse me. Something in me saying like, whoa, bro, like you're getting a little too close with this person. Like just take a couple steps back. Like maybe that can come in with like whole attachment issue. We're not going to talk about that. But I would get really close with someone. I'm just like, okay, draw the boundary. Like you don't need to be this close, because once they leave, it's going to hurt and it's going to bite. Once they leave like all these other 15 people before, it's going to hurt and it's going to bite again. So a lot of people who have had people in their lives that abandoned them, or not abandoned, just left their life, you kind of want to hold tightly to the people around you, and then that can kind of let them like push them away. So I've held people very tightly, and then it pushed them away. And I've also had people where like I didn't hold tight enough because I knew that they were just going to leave at the end of the day. So that whole mindset of thinking that like everything is temporary, people leave, is something that I'm trying to get accustomed with, especially at this age.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I dealt with that a lot, when I was your age. And I didn't know that like when you get older, it gets easier, because I don't want to say you get used to it, because if it's somebody who matters to you, it's still going to hurt. But what happened to me was I moved, and I thought to myself, oh, like I got good friends. Like I like my friends. I don't need any more friends. I don't need to go outside and meet people. I can just call on the phone, be like, yo. And it just turns out people don't have as much time for you when you're not there for them. And another thing I noticed is sometimes like people would kind of be a little bit clingy to me, and I would realize like, oh, I'm talking to a lonely person. Like my friend is lonely. Like, and it's just unfortunate that there's sometimes you can't be there for people when you need them, or when they need you to be.
Hey, before you continue, I just want to let you know that not only do I appreciate you tuning in, but I did notice one thing. A lot of you guys viewing are not subscribed to the channel. So if you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can stay tuned in to more videos like this. And for a bonus, you could always like, comment, and share. If you need to, go grab yourself some water, go use the bathroom, go walk your fish, do your thing, and come back and then continue watching. So yeah, back to the video.
When you said that you stopped talking to this one guy and then you called him after a long time, I've had that happen before. And it's like a shock in a way. Like you start reflecting on everything that you did at that very second. They're just like, yeah, like maybe not even the way they speak. You could just tell like there's a different person than they were before. And like you miss out on a lot. And then you realize that most of it was your fault, because like you were doing your own thing, and you just, I don't know, whatever reason, you just stopped talking to them. So I've done that with a lot of people. And I had a conversation with a friend last week. I want to bring it up. We got like, I thought we got closer for a season in our lives. And he was like, yeah, I don't think we got closer. In fact, I thought we were closer before, like a long time ago. And I was like, what the heck? And looking back at it, I realized that I just, whenever they'd want to FaceTime, I just, the automatic, like, can I call you later? Or like I would text and say, I'm doing something, I'm eating food. And like, I didn't realize how many times I've done that. Just like,
you do not disturb princess type of guy.
No, like I was just very busy near the nighttime where we would always call, and I would just wasn't there for him. Yeah. So, and then it adds up, and then like, I didn't know that, but that's what I want to bring up.
Yeah, I feel you. I'll be on Do Not Disturb like most of the time. Also.
No, I'm not on D&D. I'm not a D&D freak. No, don't worry. You're a D&D.
But yeah, dude, you're bringing up some like really relatable stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I think the reason when and I'm not an expert, dog. Like if y'all are listening to me yap, like listen with a grain of salt, please, because like I'm still lonely sometimes. Like I haven't figured stuff out. But I think when we run into somebody and we're like, oh, like they've changed, like they're different, or like they have that perception towards us, it's just they see something unfamiliar and their attachment is to the companionship that they know, right? And a lot of times when we run into somebody after not seeing them for a long time, you know, they've changed, right? Their personality is different. You know, not complete change. Like a complete change would be weird, but like they have subtle changes in their personality, their mannerisms, the way they talk, the way they think. They could have a kid. And at the end of the day, dude, like everybody just wants two things: to be understood and to be useful. And that essentially means validation.
Yeah.
So if you run into somebody and you're like, wow, like they've changed a lot, that's a bad thing. Like it's not gonna feel good talking to them. They're not gonna feel good talking to you. If you run into somebody and be like, have you gotten taller, dude? Or like like not even as simple as that, or be like they had a kid, be like, wow, like like you're gonna be a great dad. Be very supportive. It goes a little bit better. And that's something that I just, you know, I had to learn, and it doesn't always work to be supportive. Like sometimes if you're like, whoa, like you got a really good job, I'm so proud of you, they'll be like, is he jealous? Like like
Yeah.
So yeah, just depends, dude. Like I think part of that just comes into the people have different perceptions than you. Like that took me like until I was 23 to realize that sometimes people see different things than I see, think differently from me. And it's still something that I like, an obstacle that I have to get over when I'm thinking about other people's perspective. I sometimes forget it's different from mine. Yeah.
He was kicking.
Appreciate it.
I see what you mean. Like when someone comes back and like they're surprised, more surprised rather than like proud.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, of course I've been doing this thing. Like I've been doing this for the past couple months, but like you weren't there. Not in like a shady sort of way, but like,
Yeah.
it's just funny how this is surprising for you and this is just like very normal to me.
Yeah.
And I was catching up with some people from middle school like last week. It is always crazy how like every time we meet up, something it just feels very. There's a comfortable feeling inside because like you grew up with each other a long time ago, and seeing like I don't know, like seeing people change is just like I don't know. It's just crazy. It's very shocking,
it's
and it's normal to be
right?
shocking. Yeah.
Like you feel like slightly put off by their change. It's like I don't know if it's the same for you, but for me, like I expect people like, and I understand this is like my whole thing where I don't recognize that people see life and you know experiences and stuff different from me. They have different experiences, blah blah. I just forget, you know, and it's like I'll run into them somewhere and I'll see them and it's like this isn't the same person that I created that bond with. Like the bond is still there. They're still the same person, but it's slightly different, and it kind of like it's slightly unsettling, you know?
I have a lot of stories.
Yeah.
That reminds me of, I went on a I'm sharing a little too much, but I went on a sleepover with someone. It was like that big gap, that COVID gap. Last time I slept over with them was like maybe 4 years before COVID.
When was COVID for you? How old were you? 16?
16, 15. Okay. So like when I was like 12, I slept over. And then now I'm like 17, or 16. And I slept over and it was just so. We were different people. Like in that sleepover, like I hate calling it sleepover. It just sounds goofy.
Yeah.
Well, in that time, it just felt so. Just it was the biggest shock in my life. Like being with this guy, living with this guy, and I'm just like, we are completely different guys. Like we are not the same people we were before. And like sometimes you grow apart with a bunch of people that you were once close with. And not saying that we did, but we're just very different people now. And that's normal. That's okay. You can still have love for the person that you were once very close with. Growing apart doesn't mean that like you're never going to talk to this person again. It just means you both are just interested in different things. Yeah. And I could have easily seen that as in like, oh my gosh, everyone's changing. Oh, no one loves me. I'm old. Everyone's changing but me. But I chose to see it as like, we're just different people.
Yeah. Dude, that's a really good point. And it's making me think like maybe the reason it feels uncanny or maybe uncomfortable to see changes in somebody is to see that they're changed and could possibly not accept you anymore.
Oh, that's deep.
But there's nothing you can do about that. Like it's their choice. So yeah, I didn't realize that until now though. It's a good point, dude. What if you don't mind me asking, like what type of change was it? Was it just like natural, like y'all grow up type of thing, and it's like, oh okay, like bro grew up in a different way than I did type of thing?
Both. We're just into different things. We talk differently, we act differently, we move differently.
Yeah.
But there's still that like childhood self in us that we'll always just take in
still
our
like
lives.
he's still like a good person, like
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's not like this guy's like Voldemort or nothing. Like
yeah,
the same people. So
yeah,
that's what I was thinking earlier. Like we're gonna go back into loneliness, don't worry. But we're all like the same people we are as kids. Like there's like a kid in us that like I think we'll always have until like the end of our lives. And I'm just so I'm just so curious how like long that'll live until like I don't know how to explain that. Like siblings that have grown up until like they're 50, 60, like do they still see each other as like that little kid self? And I'm just so curious how that is.
Dude, we talked about this on our first podcast.
We did?
Yeah. I was like, well, like when you're thinking about what you want to do for a career, like think about what kid Filimon would do.
Oh, yeah.
And there you could get some insight that way, maybe. But yeah, like have you ever seen I read some books sometimes where it was describing somebody's experience as an old man and was coming from like an old author. And the guy was like, I'm like in my head, I'm 25. Like my brain goes just as fast, maybe tiny little bit slower than it did when I was 25. And I talk to old people sometimes, and that it kind of gets brought up as a conversation. Like I don't intentionally say, oh, like do you feel the same way you did when you were 40 or when you were 25? But I'll bring up the fact that I'm noticing myself getting older. Like I didn't really need glasses that badly until last year. And like my hairline's starting to recede a little bit. I've recovered from like injuries, athletic stuff, like a little bit slower than I did when I was 22. And I did some research on this in our body. It turns out, it's in our genes to determine when we slow down and how fast that decline is. It's not necessarily 100% determined by genetics, but there's, a small amount that determines when your hairline recedes, when you start becoming less athletic if you don't, keep up like insane like maintenance like that Steelers guy, James, what's his name? And it's the same for old people. They'll be like, I notice I'm getting older. Like I have physical signs of age on me, but in here, I think I'm the exact same person that I was when I was 25. And for the most part, that's true, dude. Like, I I don't know how it's gonna be like dealing with that in the next, hopefully I live like another 100 years. Yeah. Another in the next like long time. It's just gonna be really like difficult to deal with. And I think that's another thing where like you run into somebody and they change, like they might be just showing signs of age and you're not. Like hopefully all your friends share your same youthfulness, but yeah, that could happen too.
I think that's very freaky how you can feel like you're in 7th grade again and with the same people and you're like 40 years old.
Yeah,
That's really crazy. I feel like that's just insane. I know I keep saying that. It's just like when I hang out with these guys, I'm just like, I feel like I'm not me. Like I feel like I should be wearing this. I feel like I should be walking this way. And it's crazy how connection can make you do that. But back to loneliness.
no, I actually wanted you to keep talking because like I feel something similar sometimes, and I want to just hear more about why you feel that way, like why you feel like it's like you're not being yourself by hanging out with your old friends.
I'll go deep. A long time ago, I didn't have much self-respect. So when I was with those people, not because of them, but just at that time, I just didn't have much self-respect. I didn't make the best decisions. I wasn't a bad kid, but I'm not the man who I was today. And hanging out with them now, I would easily fall back into that mindset that I used to have. And I'm like, oh, I feel like tiny, small, not in control. They can, like, they used to be like a lot bigger than me. But now, like, we're all kind of the same. And just recently, like the last time we met, I felt like I could just be me, who I am presently, rather than fall back into that old mindset. So I think that was a good progress thing.
Yeah.
But every time before, I would just feel like that middle school self where like I'd feel like I'd have lack of self-respect. I'd value too much of what they say about me. I'd want to impress them. I'd want to look the best. I want to feel the best. It's just, I'd have that mindset when I hang out with these guys. But now just recently, like after a lot of self-improvement, finding myself, working on myself, and still have a long way to go. It was a lot better than the last interaction I had. So I thought that was pretty freaky.
Yeah, I was having a similar internal dialogue with myself a couple of days ago where it's another thing, like the stress of getting older, right? You have to transform into a man. I can see that because when I used to hang out with some of my high school friends, like I would make the same jokes I made when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much it, dude. Like I wouldn't make those jokes are jokes that I wouldn't make now. They're like, just immature. And I'll sometimes like catch myself doing immature stuff. And it's like, whoa, like I'm a man, bro. I can't do that. Yeah, I'm glad you're doing that because it means basically, you've transformed in your mind. You're seeing yourself as a man, and since you're feeling more comfortable with them, that means basically number one, you've accepted that you're a man around them, and number two, that they've accepted that you're a man around them. And that's like two of the most important things, like the validation there, like you get your own internal validation, they see that and they accept it. Like that's a good thing, dude.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It feels like a therapy session right now.
My bad.
No, this is a good thing. I'm healing right now. This is healing right now. In 7th grade, like back in middle school, like I think everyone had like a sense of like wanting to have a lot of friends and deeply feeling lonely as well. So tying back to that topic, if there was an age or a period of time where you felt an emotion so strongly and now you feel it presently, do you feel like that age that you were once you felt it so strongly? So if you're so lonely from 16 to 17 and you're 25 and you feel very, very lonely all of a sudden, do you feel like you're 16 and 17?
No. I used to, but it's kind of so like if I wanted to put it in a better example, it's kind of like I moved away from my parents' house. I went to school. I dropped out of school, and stayed living by myself for a substantial period of time. Like 5 years, I lived by myself, and then I moved back into my parents' house because I didn't have to pay rent. I'm very blessed to say that. And when I moved back in, it was like, okay, why am I like, I noticed myself like acting a slight little bit more immature, a slight little bit like less responsible. And it's like, I think I don't think I should be in my parents' house. It's making me more childish.
The environment.
Yeah, I think that's a good comparison to what you're saying. Yeah, and I notice it. I notice it a lot, and it's kind of like not necessarily I'll feel younger anymore because I understand why I felt that way. And like I kind of am able to pick apart the root of that feeling. And you're right, it's because of the environment. And also because, I'm dealing with similar things that I dealt with when I was a kid, right? It's like a very different situation, but it's also like super similar. And like I'm able now to realize, oh, like just because I have this feeling of uncanniness that I'm falling back into old habits, it doesn't mean that's the natural step to take. It's like a regression, right?
Yeah.
And when you get older, you just have to learn how not to regress. It's like just one of those things you'll pick up from experience. So I moved back also for COVID, and I experienced a regression then, and I got depressed. And having had that experience, like it wasn't fun, being like truly depressed during COVID. That was the lowest I've ever been, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate. But having experienced that, I now understand it's like that sucked, right? But now I have extra insight. I know why. I can pick apart why that happened, and it allows me to prevent it from happening. Not always, but better than I used to.
That's wise of you to do that, to like
Appreciate
pick
it.
apart and like know, like actually learn from that experience rather than,
So I wanted to ask you, when you talk to somebody, like when you talk to somebody, do you like, are you able to gauge their personality? Like when you talk to somebody, do you sometimes see, oh, like they're having this deep emotion, and they're not showing it to me, like they're not telling me about it, they're not explicitly saying it to me, but I notice.
Yeah.
Like I notice when I talk to a lot of people, like some of them are very, very, very lonely, and it's kind of sad, right? Do you notice that also?
Yeah, definitely. Like, well, if it's with any other emotion, like if they're deeply feeling just depressed or sad,
Mm-hmm.
but specifically lonely, yeah, like you can tell in their attitude or who they are when they're like with people, and like how like you can smell like the clinginess a little bit, and like they're really trying to, the clinginess, I guess, and which is okay. Like we feel that way when we're feeling lonely. But you can tell like they worry a little bit more when you're not there, and when you are there, like they're just having the time of their lives, and like always calling you, always wanting to like. I don't know how to like, I don't want to make it sound like I assume that someone's lonely based off of like because they want to talk to me, but like I can kind of get a sense of like if someone deep down like they feel that way.
Yeah, and it's because you've experienced that before that you're able
Yeah.
to empathize with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's how important. Like when I don't want to like try and come across as I'm saying you need to get older to understand. I'm saying understanding comes with gained experience.
Yeah.
So there could be a person that has experienced this by 12 and they have gained understanding and wisdom about it. And loneliness is one of those things that is like a really, really difficult puzzle that everybody has to figure out how it works. And some people just do it sooner because they've experienced more, or there's a certain type of person that doesn't really feel loneliness. And that means they're not able to empathize. But yeah, like that's what I mean when I say it comes with getting older.
Yeah, like when you're older, you get more experience and you're understanding a lot more, which makes you a more compatible friend, I guess. This is like, I feel like every story in my head is just coming in, so I'm just going to say it right
Yeah,
now.
of course.
Not too long ago, I went through something, and then I went through the whole process, and then I got better. That's all I'm going to say. And just recently, someone came into my life who went through the same exact thing, asking me for help. Someone who I haven't talked to in a long time. And it just felt so it's just so strange. Like I went through this feeling, and now I know how to get through it, or how I got through it. And I'm in a position where like I understand now, and I can just give advice, and like I feel confident in the advice I give because it really helped me, and it's helped someone else. It's helped this person, that person. So I felt like I knew what to say in that moment, and I was so grateful that I went through that experience because of that. So I completely agree with what you say.
Yeah, that's a funny thing because you and I are pretty different. When I run into somebody that is showing like an extreme need, I don't always like I give terrible advice, to be honest. Like if it's just a regular conversation and I'm like talking to them about maybe understanding things like from a different perspective, or like I'm trying to provide them a different perspective, it's very easy to talk about it. But when somebody is going through like a really, really difficult time, I don't know if they want to hear my perspective or not. So most of the time I won't give them any advice.
Yeah.
Like I'll just say, or the one thing that I think I can do for people when they need me is like show up. So sometimes I'll like try to hang out with them or something, get them out the house. But I don't really even know how to deal with that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I haven't figured it out.
I mean, some people just want like just someone to listen, or someone. Oh well, I ask like, "Hey, is it okay if I just give you advice?" And then they say yes or no. But I'm trying to get into the practice of. Like, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
Do you want me to listen? Do you want me to give advice? Do you want me to understand? Do you want me to hang out? Like, I just say like, what do you want from me that I could do to like help you at this very moment? And I'm trying to start doing that.
Dude, I didn't realize, man. I
haven't done that, so I'm not gonna act like I've been doing that.
No, but that's a good point, dude. Like if you won't know how to help somebody unless you ask.
Because if I assume, I don't like it when people give me advice when I'm at a low moment.
Yeah.
Just like, bro, pick your head up. I'm like, dude, are you serious? Like, no, I'm good. Let me be sad for a little bit. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna try to do now. Because if someone asks me that, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna say, I just want you to sit and understand and just listen.
Yeah.
And then other times I'm like, yeah, I just need advice. I'll start off by saying I need advice if I want advice. But yeah, because some people, like, I had a close friend that, I guess because a lot of guys are just logical thinkers and they're problem solvers.
Yeah.
And if you open up to them, they're just going to want to give you an answer that they think
That's
is the best.
me, dude. That's why that's part of my issue right there.
I tried to switch that mindset when someone opens up to me, because when someone gives me advice, I don't need my problem solved right now. I just want you to listen. And a close friend of mine he just every time I opened up, he just want to solve. And then there's moments where when he couldn't solve it, he was like, yeah, man, I don't know how to answer that. And I'm just like, dude, just
You don't
sit
have to
and listen. You don't have to. Just I want you to sit and understand. And just recently he's been doing that, and I can tell like he's getting better and better. Our last 2 conversations were really deep, and like I think he started to get that as well. So, and he started opening up as well. So it was just like, I think if we just listen and understand.
I had a conversation with my friend about this, and he like looked up this article, basically like this psych article. Bro is like a really smart guy, so like he knows where to look for this type of stuff, and then he actually has like the willpower to read through like a academic paper. But basically the premise of the article said self-divulgence like will help people feel, 1, more comfortable around you, and 2, like make them like you more, just simply because they know more about you and they feel a stronger connection. But
what is divulgence?
A divulgence means like revealing of information.
Oh, okay.
So revealing information about yourself or experience or whatever. I had a question for you. So you seem to be better at like listening to people than I am.
Nah, you're a great listener. I think you say that, but you're actually a pretty good listener, knowing you.
I don't really be like comprehending what people are saying. I just stare at them. But like,
dude, I do that a lot too, so it's okay.
Do you have any like advice for anybody that's talking to somebody who's going through something and is trying to prevent themselves from being, I know this is kind of more attuned to male audience, but I'm sure like it happens to everybody. How did you rewire your mind to prevent yourself from trying to solve somebody's problems?
That's a great question. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm experienced or seasoned, but I definitely have gotten better. I think it came from being the person that wanted to share and being given advice, and then I just did not like it. And like that feeling of just like, ugh, I don't need that right now. That's the feeling I take with me whenever I'm about to listen to someone else. And I just picture myself in their shoes, or I picture myself like just sad and like, what would I need if I were them? So wait, you're asking like, how did I get better at that?
Yeah. For somebody like me who wants to skip the divulging, or like, and then having that experience where it's like, oh, like they're not listening. Like, well, do you have any like tips for me?
If you don't want to just open up, but you want to like,
yeah,
I want to understand that question a little more. Sorry. Like,
so for me personally, I used to do that a lot. I used to just yap, right? And I find myself doing that even now, like, because I think it's just something that you need to do. Like, you need to get stuff off your chest, and like having people around to listen helps a lot. But at the same time, like, I find it really, what was I gonna say? Maybe that was the experience and I just didn't recognize it. This is a really therapeutic conversation.
I know, right?
I used to be a divulger, like a real yapper, and I'd stopped, right? Because I realized some of that information is just something that I should keep to myself. And it used to be like, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, I would do something like stupid or dumb, like in high school, and I'd immediately text my friends and be like, yo, guess what I just did? Like, it'd be like, I don't know, like I sporked somebody's lawn or something, you know? And I'd have to tell people about it. And now it's like, I don't feel the need to talk about it. It's kind of become like, I feel vulnerable, like not even opening up, but just like giving people information about myself. And I think what I do is I project that emotion onto the people that are talking to me. So when they tell me stuff that is like really deep stuff, I'm like, wow, I never would have said that to myself. Like if I were you, like, So I think I have a little bit better understanding of how to not do that, just by, putting yourself in their shoes and saying, what would I want if I was them? And like people always spam, just listen, bro. Be there and sit down with them. I still haven't really like mastered active listening. I'm working on it though, for
I
sure.
get that. Yeah. I personally think you're a good listener, but
Appreciate it.
you know you more than I
I'm
know
a good
you.
pretender.
The divulgence thing, I want to get into that.
Yeah.
Because I know it may look like, well, you said that like I'm pretty good at just like knowing when, and I don't know. I just want to let you know that a long time ago, I was the biggest divulger. Everything that happened in my life, I would just say it. Like, I'm just a vessel with every experience that I had. I said a lot of things that I regret to the people that I thought I trusted. I trusted the wrong people. I found myself so open, just so exposed that there's nothing of me to hide. And that, like, who was I if I had nothing to keep to myself? If everyone knew of me, like I had nothing to myself if everyone knew.
Evil guy right here.
And like I feel like a lot of your personality can be built off of things that you keep to yourself. Like, because only you know that, and only you can really cherish that. And
Yeah.
because I shared it to so many people, I got myself hurt. I just felt, I don't know if weak is the right word. I just felt vulnerable to everyone. I've been ratted out, and it's not ratted out, just exposed for secrets that I thought I told you in confidence. And then now it's just like, but this comes from someone that once divulged a lot. And then after a while, I just chose to like stop talking to anyone that I went from 100 to 0. No. 50
okay.
to
So
0.
that was like the kind of hibernation that you were talking about.
Yeah.
You were like, I need to have an entire personality shift.
I think that's when I like left my old friend. Like, I know I say like every time I moved, like I changed, but I changed a lot. And it wasn't even a far move. There's people that move like 20 times in their lives, and they're completely different people. But I'm just saying, when I moved a little bit, I kind of just stopped talking to the old people I did. I'm just like, you know what? Clean slate. Let me change who I was. I don't like how I divulged a lot, so I'm going to start keeping to myself. Plus, there's not many people around me that I want to talk to. So I kept to myself, and it was very hard. Like, I'd have the most craziest days and no one to talk to about it. And some of those days are just forgotten now because no one knows about them. They're not logged. They're not remembered by someone else. I just forgot it. So I would come home. My sister was just like, how was your day? I could have had the most regular show.
Yeah.
You know how like the days are just crazy? Like I could have had a whole regular show day.
Is that the blue bird guy?
The blue bird and like the little raccoon dude. They just be having like crazy experiences off of some little task that their boss gives them. And
oh yeah.
and like I just have a most regular show day, and my sister would be like, how's your day? I'm just like, it was good. And I go home and go to sleep. And everyone would ask me like, what's going on? I'm like, it's cool. Dude, and like something in me would really want to tell these people, but something else was saying, no, don't. Like, you're going to be vulnerable. You're going to be exposed. There's nothing to hide. You're going to have no sense of self once you do share it to them. And then fast forward to now, I'm slowly starting to realize that maybe I just divulged to the wrong people, which made me feel regretful.
Yeah.
So I started slowly sharing myself and opening up to the right people, and it was like a 180. Like, I didn't feel regretful opening up to these people. I didn't feel like I was losing my sense of self. In fact, I felt like I was finding my sense of self because we were working through the problem, and we could just fully experience that feeling. So obviously, like, I have boundaries and lines and things that I want to keep to myself now. But yeah, that's like the whole transition of how I know it was a whole story, but
no, that's really interesting, dude. And it gave me a lot of insight. Where do you put your boundary at? Like, how do you know, like,
how do I know what to say to who?
What to say to who? Like, there's no strategy, like inherent strategy behind it, right?
I'm still figuring that out. I have no idea. It depends on the person. It depends on how you feel. If you just want if you really want something off your chest, 7 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, you're going to share it to the wrong person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's happened to me a lot. So I know that if I don't divulge to someone periodically, like if there's a therapist or if there's just like a close friend, then something will spill over the cup and I'm just going to spill it on someone else that I don't know. Like I could open up to a janitor if I kept something to myself for years. So
Yeah, now I understand because I've been that janitor before, right? Like you've been that guy. Like somebody just comes up to you and they're like astonishingly terrible life story, and it's like, bro, like I don't even know your name. Like, yeah, okay, yeah. I get it now. That's interesting, dude.
Yeah, that's my insight. And to the lonely part, geez Louise, man. Like I know I say like I felt lonely, but I would pray a lot. I would like have you ever heard of maladaptive daydreaming?
No.
So it's basically daydreaming, but just intense. Like you can find yourself talking to yourself in your head, but like you're talking out loud, and like you'd have like whole conversations as if they're real. And these stories in your head, I know I'm not cuckoo, bro. I'm just telling you.
My fault.
Do not side-eye the camera when that makes me look so bad. But I would just find myself like daydreaming intensely about friendships or relationships, or I'd watch shows, Stranger Things, or like where there's just like shows like that where there's just like a young friend group that I'd always like want to crave to have. Yeah. Or watching the show, ironically enough, Friends, and like you're just like, oh dang, that'd be so nice to have something like that. So watching shows would like feel that side of me that felt lonely. So because it felt like I was immersed in that world, and I'd throw myself into these
That's
fantasies.
Interesting, dude. I think that's a good thing if you have an imagination that powerful.
Yeah, but I kind of relied on it too much.
Having a conversation like out loud.
Nah.
My mom does that. She'll be like, I know a lot of people that talk to themselves, and they say like, talking to yourself is a sign of high intelligence. I'm not sure how true it is, but
yeah, I talk to myself.
all the people I know who talk to themselves are highly intelligent, so could be a correlation. But yeah, my mom does that. She'll be like talking about stuff that she has to do during the day, or like just what she wants to do, and it's like,
yeah,
maybe if I picked that up, I'd probably be more responsible, like, more motivated. But yeah,
I talk to myself out loud, and that kind of helped me through the feeling of loneliness because I felt like I was there for me. Yeah, and I was having conversations with myself, like, does this shirt go with these pants? And like I would say it out loud, and I'm like, oh, like I don't know, I would just say random jokes out loud, and like I felt like I was there for me. It's a weird like cuckoo thing to do, or like I don't know, people will call me
the way
crazy
you say it makes it seem normal. Like okay. Like I'm thinking to myself, should I do that? But I don't know. I think it's just a personal thing. It's
comforting because the times where like I don't feel lonely, like those waves where I don't feel lonely in my life, I do it less.
I see. That's really interesting, dude. Is it have you noticed like yourself when you feel lonely or just down, you'll like, for me what I do is I put my hoodie up. Like do you I don't even do that anymore. That was a long time ago. But I would put my hoodie up and I would try to like take all of my senses away. Is that like another part of isolating, where you're isolating from your actual self?
Ooh, I like this. Let me think.
Like just not talking to yourself? That's crazy, dude.
I think I've had a moment where I was sad instead of lonely, and I went to school with hoodie up. I even had a mask up so no one could just think something about hiding the face. But that was to other people, not to myself. So no, I don't think I felt that way.
But how would you say it would be like kind of equivalent to when you talk to yourself less? You're like you're like isolating to the point where you're like isolating yourself from yourself.
Oh yeah, I think I know what you mean. Like it's just me and my thoughts. Yeah, it can feel that way when I don't talk to myself. That's when it feels like I'm like alone with my thoughts, which is okay.
Yeah, and like For me, I don't I pray sometimes. I should pray a lot more. Um, I think having contact with something higher than myself, even if it is just, like just something that I think is there and it's completely not. There's always a possibility, right? But I'm not going to speak on that. I like when I have a conversation with something that's higher than myself, it's kind of also an internal dialogue, right? And it's one that kind of is to my super ego and not my ego, and it keeps me in check. And when I do that, like, it reinforces my most it reinforces my desire to exhibit like pro-social, like positive traits. I think what you're talking about is really similar to just having a relationship with God, to not feel lonely.
Yeah, praying about it helped me out a lot. So, yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's true. I think when people are lonely, they crave relationships before they crave friendships. And here's why I'm going to say that.
Like romantic
relationships. Okay. A girlfriend, I guess in this case. A girlfriend has, not only are they your friend, but they're your companion, they're your partner, they're your best friend, they're your business partner. They're just everything all in one. And something about a romantic relationship is the most HD 4K friend feeling. Like, you could really feel it compared to just a brotherly love or just a mutual friend. Like, a relationship, you could really feel that. And I think a lot of people who are lonely throw themselves into obviously relationships, or they throw themselves into the idea that, like, I need to be in a relationship. And I've fallen into this before, which I learned later on. It's because that feeling is just so 4K. Like, you really feel it. And I don't know where I was going with that, but I wanted to bring that up.
Dude, I'm glad you talked about relationships, because there's no loneliness conversation without bringing up romantic, like feeling romantic loneliness.
Yeah, two different loneliness too.
Again, I think that's one of those things where we have expectations of other people, right? That we're supposed to have this relationship, right? Where it's necessary. I think it's even worse than the whole introversion versus extroversion propaganda that we just get sent, where it's conflicting message. You hear people say like, oh, like, girls aren't that important, right? You should be making money. And then you get all like, there's just been propaganda since like day we were born. We get fed this, you're supposed, like, Disney stuff, like we're supposed to have a wife and kids like sometime in our future. That should be our goal. The way I think about it also is like finding somebody that would be a partner for me is like somebody that completes that helps me complete, number one, this shared mission of life, and then number two, somebody to, it's kind of unhealthy, to fill in for the positive attributes in my personality that I lack, right? So if I'm not like an honest guy, or if I'm like if I'm like a real let me actually, instead of bringing up bad qualities, because I can't really think of any, but it's kind of like I'm not really talented at listening to people that well. I'm hoping maybe one day there's somebody that'll come along and be a really good listener and like be able to give me a synopsis or whatever. And that's like unhealthy way of looking at it.
A healthier way of looking at it is you want to learn from the other person. Right. Like, there's nothing wrong with them having something that you don't, as long as you don't see it as like a puzzle piece, and you see it as like they have something that like, I guess it's kind of the same thing. So I just want to bring that up. Continue.
Yeah, and like I think there's a lot more dimensions to it. Like you brought up, like there's 4K HD connection with somebody. And it's because like it's an enhancement of an already like regular relationship.
Exactly.
You hear people say, "Oh, there's gonna be like, you're gonna meet your match, right?"
Yeah. The
And yeah, the one, dude. Do you think there's a one person?
one. This will be a conversation for another day.
Really?
The one. 'Cause I have no idea how long we've been recording.
Probably 2 hours.
It's been like 2 hours. It's been 2 hours.
Yeah, just about.
Oh, this is I love it. I could keep.
Yeah,
I can go on for another
it's a good one,
an
dude.
hour. That's cool. Just gonna take long to download.
Yeah.
An hour and oh, that's cool. That's
Okay.
the regular. We're chilling. But
Do we want to save this one for later? It could be
we could brush on it a little bit
All right.
as long as we tie it with loneliness. What was the question?
do you think there is a match made for you?
Oh.
Specific one person.
The one. Oof. My answer is I don't know. I don't know. Like I have some ideas. I think there are people that are. You guys would definitely click together, and there's some people that would like are close to the person that you could click with. And like, and it's
Yeah.
okay if you get close to that person, but like, and it's okay if it's not that person. Like some people, like they marry someone that they're okay with, but they don't like click. So it's just all like a.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
like,
know. What
tolerable,
tolerable. Yeah, people are
Yeah.
just. I don't get it, but yeah, I don't know. That's
So
my answer.
I have a question for you, but first I'll show you my view. Falling in love with somebody to me is a choice, right? It sometimes sneaks up on you, but I think deep down, we make a lot of our choices like in our gut, like a long time before they're actually presented to ourselves as like problems. I think I'll tell you my understanding of like developing feelings for a girl, and I'm not a woman, so I can't really like explain that, but it's for sure different for men. In my opinion, the main precursor to developing feelings is a desire to protect that person because we perceive value in them, right? I can't tell you what causes a woman to develop feelings. If I had some time to think about it, I'd come up with an okay answer, but I'd honestly right now I'm drawing a blank. But for the developing feelings on our side, like seeing someone that we view as very valuable and desire to protect, that's a choice, right? Because we can choose to see value that's not there. There's a mental image of that person, and you see, okay, like there's this person right here. I have my mental image of them, and there's a possibility that mental image is a fantasy, right? When you create that fantasy, you're essentially choosing someone that is unfair choice, right? Because you're not even giving them a chance to show you who they really are. You're creating that first, and then you're saying, oh, this person is the one. And then people are like, oh, like I didn't realize that I'd created that fantasy without actually learning more about them. So that's another thing, people can get to like old age and have that problem.
False expectations create disappointment.
Yeah. So I don't think there's a specific one person. I think there's somebody that can fit our expectations. But there's a multitude of people who are compatible with our expectations and we're compatible with theirs, type of thing, So it's still difficult to find, but I think there's thousands, if not millions of people who could potentially be compatible. It's kind of messed up to say because like it implies that love is not valuable, but it's really, really, truly hard to recognize that in somebody for sure.
Yeah. To the expectation part, and like people can do that a lot with friends and anyone in general, and I've fallen into that before where I just expect so much from someone, mostly just friends, and I have this whole idea and social media. I think social media plays a lot into that, where they picture how friends should be, how relationships should be, how men and women should look like, and you see the top of the top online, and you expect the person right beside you to look like the top of the top, or to be like the top of the top, or act like the top of the top. Excuse me. And it just creates disappointment in everything they do. And if you don't see something as like no expectations from someone would just be a slight surprise, like a good surprise.
You're right.
Switching out of that mindset, it can be difficult for me to start. But
having expectations is a good thing.
It is. It's a good thing, yeah, because it filters out a bunch of things that you don't want. But expectations with someone that you do like, that's when it can become an issue. Because then you just want them to be. Yeah, I think you know where I'm going, but yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right about the social media thing. I think that just creates like a lot more confusion.
It feeds into the loneliness and it feeds into the isolation.
Yeah, because it just gives a platform for all types of conflicting opinions and images to mold into each other and become really confusing to decipher. But I also think that a lot of what determines our expectations are, number one, mythology. So our culture. For thousands of years, there have been different myths saying this is how a man and a woman should act. Secondly, our socioeconomic status. If you marry somebody or marriage, let's remove that from this conversation. Sorry. That's what I think about when I'm thinking about a partner. But when you're dating somebody from a different socioeconomic status from you, that means they grew up with a different expectation from their parents, right? Their parents may have done things differently from you based on their lifestyle, and you pick up on that. So oftentimes when you see people getting married, it's people of the same class. There's a bunch of other stuff probably.
No, that's a good way of putting it. I never thought about the socioeconomic state of the world. No, that's a good way of putting it. Like, a lot of them are from the same class, and like y'all see eye to eye in terms of that level of life. Yeah, I'm just pointing that out.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a shared perspective. Like when you form a relationship with somebody, it's kind of like building a shared vision, and a shared way of seeing the world.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Maybe that's why like it's way deeper than friendship.
That, and there's just a bunch of guys or girls that just want to. People crave the intimacy, but on a deeper level, yeah. Like if you're looking at it at that scale, which a lot of people should, then that's what people are like striving for when they are feeling lonely in like relationships.
Hey, before you continue, I just want to let you know that not only do I appreciate you tuning in, but I did notice one thing. A lot of you guys viewing are not subscribed to the channel. So if you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can stay tuned in to more videos like this. And for a bonus, you could always like, comment, and share. If you need to, go grab yourself some water, go use the bathroom, go walk your fish, do your thing, and come back and then continue watching. So yeah, back to the video.
Before we land the plane, before we end it off, what is your way of describing someone feeling alone and then describing someone that's feeling lonely?
Is there a difference? Like,
I think that there's a difference.
Could you give me your example first?
Simple terms, I think it's just quantity and a quality thing. Alone is just you're alone, like you're by yourself. Quantity wise. And lonely is like you could be in a room full of people and still feel lonely. Like lonely is in the E, as in like I need something, like craving something, needing something to come to that individual person, and yeah, like if someone says I'm alone right now to I'm lonely right now, those are two different things. That's what I'm trying to say.
What would you say causes like loneliness versus feeling lonesome?
Not lonesome, just wanting to be alone. Yeah.
Oh, wanting to be alone.
Like if someone's alone and if someone's lonely, like those are two different things. That's just what I was trying to defer.
When you said feeling alone and loneliness, I feel like when you put feelings in the mix, like I think it's the same emotion that you're feeling. I think you're feeling a lack. Loneliness is just feeling a lack of something, and you interpret that lack to be lack of companionship when it could be a lack of anything. Feeling alone, like you said, is the desire to be with yourself, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, when I'm bored, I tend to do things that I regret. Just do dumb things. So, and then like I can get deep and like be lonely or feel sad. So it's something about that boredom where you have too much time to think. That's where like the lonely feelings come in, or like the bad decisions come in. So that's what, because you said you felt bored, like previous to like 40 minutes ago, you said you're bored and then tied in with loneliness. So that's why I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, I perceive loneliness as a situation that doesn't need to involve emotion, where we try to see a pattern, right? Because that's how we work. I think it stemmed from an emotion, and then we try to see a pattern behind that emotion, and we interpret something to cause it, and we don't necessarily 100% know. And it's one of those things, like, maybe you have to take some time to figure it out. We're so hyper focused on that feeling of the emotion that we don't realize that it's not completely figured out yet. We haven't completely understood what the emotion is, and we're attributing it to a lack of companionship when it could be, like a lack of vitamin D, dude. Like it could just be like that feeling of needing to be alone, or not feeling that inherent need of 99.9% of human beings to have some time to think by themselves, as a need for human interaction.
It's completely normal for humans to feel that way.
Yeah.
I think we all should know that, and it's okay to like call someone if you feel like you're a little lonely, or if you feel like it's just, you want to talk to someone.
Yeah.
Keep like pushing yourself to continue isolating yourself, which is what I did a long time ago. It's not really going to take you far other than just being familiar with that feeling.
Do you call people a lot?
Yeah, I try to.
You notice like your relationship with them, even from a simple call, like it matters a lot. I've had I had a friend who was going through some really, really terrible stuff that he just wasn't disclosing to anybody. And I would text him. I'd be like, it would be like once every like 3 to 4 months. I'd be like, yo, buddy, like, you okay? Like, I haven't heard from you for a while. I want to see what you're up to. Like, just a little thing to show that I'm invested in his life still, and I want him to be successful. He wouldn't respond. Like, like years would go by.
This would be a text or a call?
Just a text.
Yeah.
Because I'd call and there'd be like no response, so I'd text. Years would go by, like a year and a half maybe, without a response. And then like, I'd get a call and he'd be like, yo, like I was in a super dark place and I know I didn't respond to your message, but that message still mattered, Like it was important to me that you reached out. And I was like, wow, like I didn't know until now. That's crazy.
Dang.
So yeah, it's very important to like call and reach out. It's a really important thing to you don't know what somebody's going through until they tell you.
That's an inspiring story. And I think that's perfect to end it off.
Yeah.
But
appreciate it, man.
Is there any last thing that you'd want to mention about loneliness or anything?
It's okay to be lonely, dude. Like I honestly think if you haven't felt lonely before, then it makes life more difficult. You can't empathize with people. It's a necessary experience because loneliness is such a common human emotion. For everybody watching, it's not bad to feel lonely.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Today, this was a great conversation.
Yeah, dude, I learned a lot from you.
I learned a lot from you as well. Guys, thank you for listening or watching this episode. This was great. Archie, thank you so much for coming on the show again and cooking again, as you usually do.
I appreciate you for having
me. Yeah, I mean, you're a great guest. And yeah, so if you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you comment if you relate or if you don't relate. So yeah, that's really it. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Brief Dive. I'm gonna catch you. Peace out. I'm a little congested. That was great. Like Kellogg's Frosted